Vikings football is back in action. You can find our Mall of America Street team at Vikings training camp each day and enter to win awesome prizes, including Mall of America mystery cards and much, much more. Details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
One more hour of the Tennafitzgerald as we sail on, coming back tomorrow at noon. And we do have Pete Bercich joining us a little less than a half hour from now. Vikings beat the Giants 13-10 in preseason game number 1 in New Jersey. And now we'll do a little
plus, minus.
Brett, we're going to begin with the Vikings first team offense.
Plus.
Only had one drive. Didn't get a lot of look at them, but KOC has stated through most of the offseason, we want to have a heavier emphasis on the running attack. And they go out and they get a new running backs coach. And this whole offseason, be like, well, you got kind of the same personnel. Like, how much is this running game going to improve when you have the same running backs, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, same offensive line, other than just, I guess, we're healthy now. Same tight end. I guess the fullback's different. You now have more of a blocking wide receiver in Juwan Jennings, but how much can you really change the running game? And we won't know until we get into the actual regular season. But for game 1, Aaron Jones looked good. He looked like the Aaron Jones I used to see for the Green Bay Packers doing the Lambeau leap. 3 carries, 27 yards. Jordan Mason, 2 carries, 17 yards. I think we would take that all just on one drive. And Kyler Murray clearly wasn't asked to do a whole lot. They weren't trying to showcase Kyler here. But he had the one good pass to Jordan Addison on third down. A little off on the play to Aaron Jones, and maybe that's something they work out. I think Kyler was trying to push Aaron Jones away from the side from the defenders, and Aaron was just setting up shop. I don't know which one is technically right, or maybe they're both wrong. But at the very least on that play, Kyler made the right read. He made the right progression. He went through the first couple guys and then mentally he was in the right spot. So Kyler wasn't asked to do a whole lot, and clearly he's going to get more pressure in the future. But they were out there for one drive. They moved the ball pretty good down the field, finished it off with a field goal. I would give them a plus.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kyler only threw the ball 3 times, didn't really need him to. I was surprised that Aaron Jones was playing at all, to be honest, because he does have the tag, right or not, that he's injury prone.
How about Christian Darrisaw playing? Well, that might be even more surprising.
The only bigger surprise would have been Justin Jefferson playing.
Yes.
Which he did not. So I was kind of stunned that he was playing, especially on MetLife, which that field, when it's not the World Cup final, is this disgusting cement-like AstroTurf that people get hurt on all the time. But Aaron Jones looked good, and Jordan Mason was showing that burst that everyone... He's got so much burst. Shoulders are sculpted.
Here's what I'll contradict on the Aaron Jones aspect of it. Aaron Jones is a quality player. At this stage of his career, like when you are playing your first team offense, the guys you're protecting are superstar type players, right? Like Aaron Jones is not at that level anymore. He hasn't been that level since he came to the Minnesota Vikings. Guy's a fantastic guy. Got to meet him last week and interview him, and he is an awesome human being. But, if Aaron Jones goes down, yes, it would stink. I wouldn't want it to happen. But it's not like this just massive drop-off that we can't season's over if Aaron Jones gets hurt, right? So I was actually more surprised that Christian Darrisaw was on the field. I did not see that coming. And he finished off the series. Did he pull himself or did KOC pull him?
I don't know.
Minus.
I got to go with the play of J.J. McCarthy. I know the numbers don't look that bad, and one of the incompletions he actually made a good throw on. He doesn't look right. I mean, you can give me all the stats you want. You can give me all the analytics you want. I'm just going off of eye test. I just feel like the composure in the pocket. Are we sure this guy can make multiple reads now and go through his progressions? He seems like after the first read is gone, and if it's not open, he's just panicking and jittery and moving his feet. He doesn't look like a guy you can tell the pros that know how to navigate a pocket correctly while they're going through their reads. And he ain't there yet, and he kind of gets in panic mode, and then if there's any pressure at all, he makes panic throws where thing is 3 feet over a guy's head. He had no chance at catching that. I did not think that. I mean, I don't think he was awful, but I thought from the get-go, Carson Wentz is going to be your number 2 quarterback. And that performance from both him and Carson Wentz, because I thought Carson looked good. That's the thing. You could tell the difference. The second Carson Wentz went in, it looked like a professional quarterback again.
Yeah.
Right? Read 1, read 2, read 3, throw it to him. He's wide open, like finding the open guy, not panicking, knowing when to release the ball. And it's not like J.J. McCarthy's, it's not like the line play was worse for him and he had more pressure. In fact, he had more time than any of the other quarterbacks. Average time to throw for Vikings quarterbacks in this game, J.J. McCarthy, 3.38 seconds. Non-McCarthy quarterbacks, 2.54 seconds. So Carson Wentz and Kyler Murray in his limited action and Max Brosmer in his limited action got the ball out quicker than J.J. McCarthy did. You
can just tell when, go back to the Wild survey, are you panicked or cool as a cucumber? J.J. McCarthy is not cool as a cucumber.
No.
Like, you can tell when the pros are back there, they're going through their cadence and they're just they do the close-in shot and you can just see him just kind of peering around, calling out colors and numbers. And JJ just doesn't have that. As soon as the ball's snapped, it feels like his whole body starts to vibrate, and that internal clock is like on a loudspeaker.
Which is weird to see because out of Michigan, and even like everything he says off the field, he acts like he's the most confident guy in the field, right?
Yeah.
Like that is what he is trying to portray with the 9 thing and the eye black under the eyes, and he had only lost just a handful of games in high school and college. Like, the guy just exuded confidence. And even early on, we've seen so little of him in his career. That's why it's hard to really diagnose him, because year 1, he didn't play a regular season snap. And we only saw him for half of the preseason game. But that first half of the preseason game, he looked like a confident quarterback. So all of a sudden to just see that confidence gone, I do wonder, is he an overthinker? Has KOC put too much in his head, right? Like, the thing about the quarterback position is you need to know everything that is happening on the field, on the field, but there's also a feel portion to it. Like, I always thought, like Kirk Cousins, for example, was too. We always use this example with Common and I. Common is a gardener. I'm an architect. Sometimes I feel like Kirk Cousins is too much of an architect. Like, here's how the play is drawn up, and I have to execute it the exact way it's drawn up.
4th and 8.
And sometimes there's a gardener aspect to it of, well, the defense played this differently than I would have liked to have seen, or, my left tackle didn't make the block that I wanted him to make, or there's interior pressure, or my wide receiver ran the wrong route. How do I adjust? And there is an element to, not everyone's Josh Allen, not everyone's Pat Mahomes, but those are guys you watch who are able to make plays out of nothing sometimes. And Kirk Cousins, if the play was there, could make the play. I felt like couldn't make something out of nothing. And that is something I expected J.J. McCarthy to do. The guy was a mobile quarterback coming out of Michigan. And even when you see those highlights against the Raiders in the preseason game 2 years ago, he's using his legs and getting out of the pocket. And even that element of his game has not been the same. And maybe that's KOC going, well, you got to stay in the quarterback. And you got to go through the reads, and here's how the offense works. And you got to progress through this offense. I'm not sure, but there's a disconnect there. Whether it's the disconnect is McCarthy from his confidence, or the disconnect is JJ from KOC. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's there.
We talked about it all season last year. It was pure progression. And what does a pure progression mean? And from my understanding, it's you look at option A, it's not there. Look at option B, not there. Look to C, if not, run or whatever. Instead of just a feel-based read system, it's static. It's just going through A, B, C, and done. And there's no creativity or no gardenering being done. But what if B beats his man right off the rip, and you need to throw it now to be able to find the hole? I don't know. There's something going on there as far as the confidence. Something's lacking there.
Well, Pete Bercich will help us answer that at 2:30 today. Up next, I have a preposterous statement tournament nominee and a standing ovation to give. We'll do that next on the Fitz.
Rock the boat, don't rock the boat. Exclusive
exclusive contests, and more. You can follow KFAN 1003 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube. You can stay connected to the sports leader, The Fan.
Tennafitzgerald sails on. Brandon Molesky along with Brett Blakemore. Before we get to more things that really don't matter, I did want to mention and give some publicity to Kevin Falness, who works for the Wild Radio Network. Great studio host. I know most times I tease him and I troll him and I make fun of him, but he is a friend of mine. And I think it was around this time last year, maybe a year and a half ago. He kind of came out publicly that one of his children suffers from Usher syndrome, where basically just someday like his child's going to go blind, and he's back at it raising money and awareness for this. So, if you could do me a favor, if you have some money that you were able to give to help out Kevin and his cause, you can go to either at Radio Fallness on his X account. There is a link there for Benny's Battalion. I believe he also has this on his Instagram and Facebook as well. So find Kevin Fallness on Instagram, Facebook, or on X, as he is raising awareness and trying to raise money to find a cure for Usher syndrome. If you're able to do that, very much appreciated. We do have a preposterous statement tournament nominee. Going to be hard to top the one we got last week from the announcer at the Twins-Phillies game, basically saying that the Pohlads were beloved. But this one was highly thought of as well. Is he a former NBA player now, or is he still in the league? Is Kyle Kuzma? Do we know? Do we have any indication?
I don't follow Kyle Kuzma as closely as I once did.
Yeah, nor do I. Nor do I follow the NBA as closely as I once did. But the beauty of all these podcasts that everyone has is there's so many preposterous statements that are now uttered, and we have audio for. And Kyle Kuzma was talking about back in 2020 when we had the COVID thing going on and they decided to do the bubble. Remember when they had the bubble in the NBA where they would put a couple different teams at different arenas and they didn't have spectators in the stands? And Kyle Kuzma compared being in the bubble to being in prison. Let's hear that audio.
And it was hard just being there. You know what I'm saying? Like being in a bubble, like that's not our lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like our lifestyle, we like to be extremely comfortable when we're not on the court. You know, you want to be home, you want to be chilling, your house, your nice sofa, watching a movie. That's what you want to do. You don't want to be in Mickey Mouse's house in 300 square feet for 3 months. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? And we like to call it prison for athletes. That's what it was. We couldn't leave. Nothing. And
prison for athletes, having to be in the bubble with other NBA athletes. And in fact, you were actually tested ahead of time, so you knew that was a safe area. How about this, Kyle? How about having 3 young kids, one being a newborn? I had a child born March 29th of 2020, and we could not leave the house that summer. You tell me who's got the prison there, Kyle. And we're worried about whether the industries we're in are going to be able to survive and whether they're going to start firing people and whether I'm going to have a job or not, Kyle. So, and there were people that passed away from COVID, Kyle. You having to be in Mickey Mouse's house for a couple of months, making tens of millions of dollars, is not prison, Kyle. It's not. You'll be okay. Thankfully, we have the opposite side of that because we have the best in society, and that's why we got to do.
It's time for today's Standing O.
I give a standing ovation today, and it comes from the Twins-Phillies game yesterday. There was a line drive hit down the third base line. Phenomenal catch by what I'm assuming is a Twins fan. But an adult male catches it with his right hand, hands the ball to a kid wearing a Phillies uniform. And here's what it sounded like on the Phillies broadcast.
Line drive down the left field line. It's hooking, and it is foul. That's a heck of a catch by the guy with the well-designed shirt.
Very nicely designed. Oh, and he gave it to the kid. That's a bonus for that dude. Give him some love.
Oh, this is cool.
That is so cool. That's a Twins fan giving it to a Phillies youngster. What a catch.
That guy deserves a lot of props.
He will never forget that moment as long as he lives, Tom.
Yeah, tip of the cap to that guy right there.
Yeah, NBC Sports Philadelphia with the broadcast there. The first part was the catch was amazing. And I don't know if this person is left-handed, but he caught it with his right hand, right? If you are a right-handed baseball player, you're catching with your left hand. So that alone is a little different than if you played baseball back in the day. It's a little more challenging to catch with your opposite hand.
Might have been a goalie at one point.
Well, man, maybe he should be a goalie. I mean, if Gustafson can't go here halfway through the season, we might want to call on that guy. So one, catch was phenomenal because that thing was roped down the line. He probably, just from a health standpoint, saved somebody behind him from not getting hurt. Finds the little boy, Phillies fan, gives him the ball. Phillies fan then comes back over to him, shakes his hand, says thank you. He said, hey, you got it, bud. That should be the norm for every adult that gets a ball at a Major League Baseball game. I'm not telling you what to do with the ball. The only exception would be if it is like one of those monumental record-setting home run types ball, right? Like Barry Bonds breaking the home run record. If it's a ball you're going to be able to make millions of dollars off, I understand not handing that to a little child. But any other ball that is hit to you, give the ball to a kid. You're making their day. You're making their year. And 20, 30 years from now, they will still remember the moment they got that ball that says Major League Baseball in it. I think I got one in my, I've had two in my life. One as a kid, 1991, Chuck Knobloch's rookie season. We got there earlier, so we were on the front row, and he tossed the old ball to me. I caught it. Still remember that to this day. The other one as an adult, sitting behind home plate. Oh, good for me. Thanks to mom. Thanks to I must say mom. My wife's company we got the nice seats for the day, and got it. Handed it to a child like you're supposed to. I'm an adult. I don't need to have the baseball. Hand the ball to a child, and that guy did the right thing. Give him a little stick tap. So standing O, whoever that guy is, whatever your name is, I give you a stick tap. All right, let's go back to our plus or
minus
regarding the Minnesota Wild. Obviously, the Vikings, the biggest minus of all minuses.
minus
The injury to Jamal Adams. Clearly a big name. He's had a lot of success in this league, has been an elite player. The reports out of training camp was looking good with him. And even early in that game, he had an awesome tackle for a loss. He was playing physical. Yeah. And then it's just worse when you get hurt the way you do. Right? Did we ever find out, did the guy in front of him, was the receiver he covering? Did he kind of do a little hitch, stop there for a second? Or was that all non-contact? I don't know. It looked weird. He's just running a straight line and gets hurt. And he reportedly, according to KOC, had given out basically a big speech to the team earlier in the week about all he had gone through and the injuries he's had to manage. I mean, even in a short span of time, it sounds like he was very beloved in that locker room. So always sad and very negative to see moments like that.
plus
I'm going to say overall the rookies, I would say, were a plus. Now, the biggest
minus
definitely goes to Caleb Banks. I'm not watching the interior defensive line as intimately as others are, but his PFF grade was 30.4, worst grade on defense for your Minnesota Vikings. And this is from a guy who's, the concern about him coming out of the draft was his foot and all of his injury stuff. At the time, he was thought to be a second-round pick and that the Vikings might have reached for him. Not a great debut, but it is early, and we will forget about this come regular season. So if he can perform come regular season, that'll be great. But Jacob Thomas, the safety flash, Gold Day, the second-round pick, the linebacker, played all right. Devon Claiborne, you can tell he's got a little bit of burst of speed on some of those outside runs. He might pop one occasionally. They seem the other poor rookie performance was Caleb Turnin, the offensive tackle they got out of Northwestern. Not going to be the most detrimental to the team if you stay healthy, but given the health of Christian Darrisaw in the past, you need to have your backup tackles healthy and playing well. So hopefully Turnin got a little bit of a better experience moving forward. We'll talk all Minnesota Vikings the rest of the way. Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Audio Network, joins me next right here on The Fan.
It's Brandon Molesky.
A Brandon ship, Aruga.
You're on board the Tennafitzgerald.
All right, final segment of the Tennafitzgerald Common Man back tomorrow. Just talked to Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Audio Network, just late last week, and we get to have him back on to discuss Vikings versus Giants. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Thank God Common's back tomorrow.
Then I don't have to call and bother you anymore.
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
I know you're at TCO right now. We just kind of got breaking news in the last 15 minutes from TCO that Kevin O'Connell said Jamal Adams has a torn quadriceps tendon. He had the same injury in his left leg that ended his season in 2022, which you don't hear of quadriceps injuries very often, especially torn. He's now had them in both legs, which is very odd. I'm guessing as you were in New York, or I should say New Jersey, on Saturday, I'm guessing that was a difficult thing to watch.
It was, and you know, for him, he haven't been through it once already, and you look at the lengths that he had to go to come back. Year being injured, a couple seasons where he didn't play all the time, but he played 17 games last season, so he was fully recovered. He was feeling good, playing well. Loved the scheme, loved how he fit. It was just a great place. And I mean, getting injured is one thing, but working your way back is another. And then for him to have that same thing happen again, I mean, he knows what the rehab process is. He knows what the next 12 to 18 months is going to look like. So, hat tip to him, man. It's one thing. It's one thing to get hurt and then come back from it, but then, you always kind of have that in the back of your mind. I know when I came back after I torn my ACL, it's one of those things where every once in a while you're just like, man, I don't want to have to go through that again. Holy cow. But you can't think about that when you're out there. And he was playing very well, and I was excited to see how he would fit in this Flores scheme, being smart, being able to, that one draw play, he made a tackle in the backfield. That's just a veteran move. He saw what was happening and just reacted, got across the line of scrimmage and made a tackle for a loss on a draw play. You just don't see that very much, and that's the kind of athleticism and instinct and everything else that Brian Flores, I think, could have capitalized on. So it's a loss. It's definitely a loss, and I feel for him, man.
So recovering from a torn ACL was much different in your day compared to where it is now, right? Now, not everyone come back in 9 months like Adrian Peterson can. What was that process like for you?
Well, no, but I don't think anybody came back in 9 months. Back then, it was probably 60-40 that you'd play again. The problem was back then is just the surgery itself, and if it's not done perfectly, the angle of the ACL, because they cut a piece of your patellar tendon out, take some bone from your kneecap, bone from your shin, and they just basically replace the torn ACL, put screws on either end, and there you go. And your knee is basically as stable or more stable than it ever was the day after you come out of surgery. It's just all the rehab around it with the surgery itself, and the graft is you have to recover from that part of the surgery as well. But nowadays with the techniques and technology, they don't put that ACL back in at a bad angle. Right, because some guys, if you can't lock your knee out completely, then you end up having hamstring injuries. And there were a lot of guys that just really really didn't come back. I mean, surgery is one part of it. The rehab is the other, other half of it. You have to rehab it right. And it's 1,000,001 little things. Rehab is completely different than working out and getting ready for a season. There's 1,000,001 little exercises and things that you do that you hate to do, and they're a pain in the rear, but you have to do them if you want to come back without scar tissue and without all those other things. But yeah, back in my day, I went out to Vail and had Richard Stedman do it, who got good because people were skiing down the mountain, tearing ACLs, and they would just wheel them into the building, and he'd do them right then and there on their vacation. So, Robert Smith, thank you to Robert Smith for hooking that up for me. And, the surgery went great, and I was able to come back.
I was going to say, to this day, do you still have any lingering after effects from that, or is it just like you always had a brand new knee?
No, not really, because I had torn my meniscus out completely too. So this is similar to what J.J. McCarthy had, where that whole disc gets torn out and they had to reattach it. And then I had to go back in about 9 months later to have it scar tissue removed, and some of the cartilage didn't take, so they took that out. But that cleanup, I think, made a huge difference. And it's my surgical knee is good, if not better than my other one. So fortunate and feeling good.
All right, we'll get to J.J. McCarthy in a second, but Kyler Murray, have you seen enough out of Kyler Murray, and are you ready to put him on ice?
Yeah, what was great to see was just the timing and the decision making, him having time in the pocket, going through his reads, making the right decisions. What's amazing is you go back and watch the film, and there were opportunities for some bigger plays down the field. That I think if he would have just had a little bit more patience, which maybe that play didn't call for, right? I don't know. But there were guys getting open down the field. And those are the explosive passes that Kevin O'Connell covets, and I think that he'll be able to provide those as time goes on. But the way the operation went, seeing him under center, we're not getting a good view of what they really plan to do with him schematically. And what how this offense wants to put defenses in tough positions. But what we've seen out of him so far, he's definitely embraced, being announced the starter, and he's practiced very well, and he looked really good in the game. So, you just a matter of keeping him healthy. And I think we're going to have a good quarterback. The decision that he made on that third down where he threw the ball to Jordan Addison, he knew what coverage. He knew he was getting quarters on that side, and he knew exactly where to go with the football, and that ball was thrown before Addison was really even in his break. So that kind of rapport and that kind of anticipation, and Justin Jefferson mentioned it earlier in training camp, the anticipation that he has is all going to pay off, and that's from playing in the league for 7 years, and hopefully we'll benefit from it.
Well, even the one to Aaron Jones that they didn't connect on. I mean, he made the right read, right? He went through the right progression, so mentally he had it figured out on that.
Yeah, I mean, he had time to read through his progression and then figured he'd go to the check down. The check down was there. It would have been, if caught, it would have been a first down. So that was the wise choice to make, and he did. It's just a matter of, whether or not the running back is supposed to sit or wheel out to the flat. I mean, I don't know what he's called to do, but they just weren't on the same page. And that's something that you can correct, I think, in the next 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts. So if that's the fine tuning part of it. So, but the rest of it is what's difficult, and he was able to accomplish all that. So I was very happy with how the offense looked, even running the football when he was in there.
That's what I was going to bring up next. KOC during the entire offseason has vocally told us, hey, I'm going to have a heavier emphasis on the run, and it was hard for me to completely believe him because he's always been a pass-first type of offensive coordinator. And I also looked at the personnel. And I go, well, the personnel looks the same as it has in previous years. How much better? But that being said, especially that first drive, that run game looked different. So tell me, in which ways did it look different?
Well, it's this execution, right? I mean, you line up Christian Darrisaw and you put Josh Oliver next to him, and you have Donovan Jackson, and then you can do some things with that. I mean, Josh Oliver just takes Kayvon Thibodeau and puts him on roller skates. Darrisaw has a defensive end on the ground. The linebackers have no gap or alley with which to run through. And then Aaron Jones making a great little stutter move, hesitation move, and boom, it's good for 10 or 12 yards. That's what we're capable of, and that's where the standard has to be. Now, the double teams and some of the downhill runs. I mean, we still had a 1st and goal from about the 1 yard line that we weren't able to punch it in. I understand it's a different group that was out there when that happened, but those are that's the other area of the run game that you have to depend on. And at the end of the game, we were up by 3, a little over 2 minutes left to go. You're getting the ball on your own 20-yard line. That's when you need to be able to run the ball and move the chains. So those are it's not as if we're going to flip the record and all of a sudden become 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We need to be able and be effective to run the ball when we need to and when we want to. And if we're able to do that, and the quarterback is part of this too, that's something else that we haven't seen, but I expect Kyler Murray to be part of this whole run game option program that they're going to put together. It's going to make defenses have to make a decision. You are either going to keep somebody extra back to defend Justin Jefferson, or you're going to dedicate one extra body to the run. And whatever you do, we've got an answer for it. So it's a balance schematically that the offense has to have, and the really good offenses have that. Team offenses that can take you to the big game are ones that are top 10 in run and top 10 in passing, right? Very, very rarely do you get a one-sided offense that can make it all the way through, because at some point the run game might not work, or at some point the passing game, because of weather or whatever else it might be, isn't going to allow for it. So I think to have that balance, it's necessary if you want to get to the Super Bowl.
J.J. McCarthy, 4 for 7, 34 yards. He did take 1 sack. What are your observations from McCarthy's performance?
I think the worst part was just the opening play and the botched jet sweep, because that kind of set the tone for everything, right? And you see everything else through that lens. And he had a couple of by that time, the Giants had started playing a lot of man-to-man, and he threw a couple nice back shoulder fades that should have been caught. And if they were caught, those would have been great throws. So he did some good things. It's just, again, getting to the line of scrimmage late. That caught him on one occasion when we were backed up. And I guess, number one, running the whole process, running the whole show, running the whole program. When Carson Wentz got back in there, it was smooth, right? In and out of the huddle, all that kind of, and that's contagious to those guys in the huddle. And for JJ, that's going to be the challenge. I mean, it's the challenge for him has changed. It's different now. He's not inheriting a starting spot. He's going to have to go out and earn it now. He's going to have to step in when somebody goes down and prove that he belongs. And that's what so he's going from it's more like a, Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe situation, right? You got the starter, you got the guy. Well, when the time comes and when your number's called, you've got to be ready. And so it's a twist in attitude. But for JJ, it's just every snap that every chance, every opportunity he gets to get out there on the field, he's got to show that, you made a mistake. I should be the starter, and that's the mentality that he's going to have to carry forward.
All right, Pete, let's say you are head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and week 1 versus the Green Bay Packers, Kyler Murray goes down in the first quarter. He gets injured. You have to put in another quarterback on the field. Is it J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz? Who are you throwing out there?
You know what? Right now, I haven't seen enough of the practice film to really be able to answer that question.
Oh, what a political answer. You're a politician.
Here's the thing, though. Well, I mean, but isn't that the whole point of having J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz, is that number 1 through number 3, there's not a huge gap between them? And isn't that what has kind of killed us in the past, especially last year when we've had to cycle through quarterbacks? 3 seasons ago, we had to cycle through quarterbacks, because really that's what got us last year, not having, having a backup plan. Who's going to be the heir apparent if and when something happens with the quarterback? We have 2 guys at quarterback, or really all 3 of them. Neither one of them made it through last year healthy. So there's that lingering in the back of your mind. So at least you have some options. And, to stand up and say, I'm going to pick this guy or that guy, I'm being 100% honest and saying, I don't know. I haven't seen enough out of either of them in practice, or, you have to be a coach to make that call, because only they know what you're calling, what you're doing, how they looking on the field. Are they reading right? Doing all the little things right. What is the attitude of the team? Because that could be a problem if you say this guy's number 2 and half the offensive line says, no, I like this guy, and the other half says, I like this other guy. That's divisive. I mean, that can be a big problem in the locker room. So, I'm not qualified to make that decision. You may call it a cop out, whatever you want, but I'm just being honest with you. I don't know right now.
I think Senator Bercich has a good ring to it. Governor Bercich.
No,
you just,
no
man,
thanks.
you know how to
thanks.
take both sides of that. That was very impressive.
Well, I would
start.
But Tenna, that's the reality of it. I mean, everybody wants an answer, but unfortunately, reality is not that simple.
I would play Carson Wentz
at the moment.
But I'm willing to take a stand. All right.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you. How about the rookies? Which rookie impressed you? Which rookie were you like, I need to get a little better?
Let's see. I think Jake Golday had a good day. He was all over the place. I mean, he didn't make any maybe highlights, but they moved him around. He played a lot of different positions, and I thought he was physical when he needed to be, moved real well. So I was very happy with him. Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange, they both did some good things, but they've got a lot of technique work to do. Caleb Banks, got away with a lot of things in college because he's 6'6" and 330 pounds that aren't going to work at this level. And fatigue was part of it too. That's probably the most football he's played in a long, long time. So for him and for Dominique, just getting in shape, getting the technique down, because this is a very technique-heavy defensive front, right? The defensive linemen are asked to do a lot of different things and play a lot of different techniques. We saw Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins, stand up finally, and he had a really good game. When he was standing up, he had some plays get outside of him, and it's a different animal. It's a different world. That's why it's so impressive, like with what Andrew Van Ginkel can do, and Cashman and Eric Wilson, when they can play multiple positions, because it's not an easy thing to do. But those guys, I thought those guys stood out. I mean, defensively, we didn't have a ton of young guys out there outside of, think outside of those three. That might have been it. Demings was out there. Not much was asked of him, I don't think, throughout the course of the game. But I think Max Bredesen did a good job, too. I think that first run he was a big part of, because he double-teamed with Josh Oliver on KFAN Thibodeau and got to the next level. And you listen to the coaches, and they love how he's embraced his role. And it's complicated. There's a lot that he has to know mentally, but he's taking a bull by the horns and doing it. So I thought Bredesen had a good day offensively.
How about Devon Claiborne? He had 12 carries, 34 yards. You saw a little bit of that burst on that one outside run he had. What were your thoughts on him? And can he be a running back in this league?
He looks good on the hoof, man. He's got the speed and the whole thing. I mean, he had holding on to the football was a bit of an issue for him in college. So if we can cure him of that, and then for him, it's just running the ball is part of it. You have to block. I mean, Aaron Jones had a great slide and cut block on the first series. So here's a veteran in the preseason game throwing his body around. Jordan Mason, we all knows the program. He's getting more involved in the passing game, which he really wasn't that much in San Francisco. So for Devon Claiborne, it's a mental thing, right? You have to put him in. You have to be able to put him in any situation, especially third downs. And that's where, in the past, you had the fullback come in, or even Xavier Scott, who did a really nice job blocking in the backfield, because the Giants got blitz happy toward the end of the game as well. So the running backs, it's more than just running the football. You have to be accountable for blocking, and that's not fun for them, and that's not what they get paid to do. But if Devon can do all that and get better at all those things, I think his future is pretty bright, because he definitely has some speed.
How about the Giants side of things? Jackson Dart, year number 2 for him. He was hurt a little bit last year. They had a bunch of injuries at skill positions. Malik Neighbors, that was a bad injury for them. Cam Scadabo. They got a new head coach in John Harbaugh. What are your expectations for the Giants this year, and how much can a coaching change, like an experienced guy like Harbaugh, change things and change the culture there?
I think he can change it quite a bit. Their training camp is definitely a training camp where they're full go tackling. It's similar to what the Bears are doing with Ben Johnson, where they're in full pads as much as they can be. They hit as much as they possibly can. And so there's a different level there. And a first year head coach, no matter who you are, you're always going to come in there and do that to evaluate and to see what you have in front of you. But for Jackson Dart, I think it's not the physical side, it's the mental side of the game. I still think carryover from last year when he's getting in the line of scrimmage and he's not really sure what he's seeing out of our defense. And so when that hesitation comes in, that's a problem. But very athletic. Scadaboo's very tough to bring down. He's a smart runner. Good, great vision. So will they be better than last year? Who knows? I mean, it's tough to tell. I know I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head, but the linebacker from Ohio State that they drafted on defense, they've said he's done a very, very good job. Carl Banks even mentioned that he's very, very impressive, and for Carl Banks to talk good about a rookie, that's a big deal.
Is that Arvell Reese? Is that who that is?
Yeah, Arvell Reese. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Arvell Reese. So, and he looked a little bit like a rookie out there at times, with the reads and things, so he'll get better. And yeah, I mean, that's the Giants radio show for you right there.
Well, on the play that, the Giants scored the touchdown where Jackson Dart ends up getting out of the pocket, rolls out to his left, throws across his body. Malachi Fields kind of mosses Ivan Pace. What happens on that play? Like, is Ivan Pace as a linebacker supposed to be on a wide receiver there? Like, what happens for that to?
Well, that's what happens when you lose contain, right? We talked about Ingram Dawkins earlier. You can't, he's playing outside on the edge, which is new for him. Yeah, but you have to keep contained. You can't just let the quarterback do that, because it was a crossing route that Ivan Pace was on the wide receiver, and then as the quarterback extended the play and broke contain, the receiver did what he should have done, and that's turn and run to the end zone, right? And for Ivan Pace, he turned and actually ran with them, and you mirrored them, whatever you want to call it. They have a lot of sticky. They have all these terms for it, but he did the best he could, and unfortunately, had his back turned when the ball was thrown. And you're right, you have a linebacker that's 6 foot tall against a big wide receiver. Not always going to win that battle, but there's. Again, you look at you look at the sack by Dallas Turner. There was great play made by Theo Jackson on that. It was a great job by Blake Cashman to put pressure on. Also, Dallas Turner can have the sack. Well, in this case, you have a breakdown here, a breakdown there, and then you give up the touchdown. So 11 guys have to be doing their job on every single play. And I'm not saying it's all Ingram Dawkins' fault as either. There's a list of people out there that need to be doing their jobs, and when not everyone does it, things break down, and those kinds of things happen.
Well, Peter, I'm no more Tennafitzgerald for a couple weeks. I'm back September 8th and September 9th, so you got like 3 weeks until I bother you again.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Tenna.
Pete